Leo Burnett, Director, Communications Authority, colleagues from the regulator, colleagues from the industry, and from the county governments. I'd like to say we are all colleagues, because as we've heard yesterday, we are all working towards the same goal of making sure that our citizens have access to technology and the digital economy. So good afternoon. It is my great pleasure to welcome you to this TESPOC side event. My name is James Turuthi, as you were told by Fiona. And my pleasure is in making sure that we meet our targets and make sure that some of the statements we had yesterday in terms of connectivity being a challenge are addressed. So I am here to welcome you all to Homa Bay. Thanks to the Council of Governors for partnering with us, giving TESPOC this platform to contribute to Kenya's journey of devolution. The theme today is leveraging ICT infrastructure for inclusive, smart, equitable counties. The theme is not just aspirational, it is urgent and personal for many of us here. It is urgent because technology is no longer a luxury. It is the engine that will power the next decade of county development. Over the past decade, devolution has brought services closer to our people. The next leap forward will depend on collaboration, and this is a big one for us at TESPOC. We are big on collaboration and partnerships. Working with counties hand in hand with service providers, public and private sector, pooling resources, and national and county governments aligning on a common vision. Digital infrastructure provided by many here is the backbone of an inclusive, smart Kenya. It can close the social economic divide, improve service delivery, enhance transparency, foster citizen participation, and create jobs. Create jobs and opportunities in every county. But it will only deliver these results if we strengthen our digital foundations together by expanding, one, reliable broadband to every ward, every village, deploying scalable and systems that talk to each other, systems for hospitals, systems for revenue.
So we've got, we use licensing instruments and universal service obligations to extend services. And as by our last study, which we did in 2021, we had covered 96.3% of the population. And there's a gap, but this gap also, this contribution also was made through the Universal Service Fund, where we have connected 800,000 people over the last 7 years in 19 counties, across 19 counties. In the report you've seen, despite getting the 96.3 population coverage, the usage is still a challenge. From the report you can see that 64.7% of Kenyans use mobile phone, and 35% use it to access internet. So there's that usage gap. So the usage gap is there. Oh, so let me, okay, thank you. Yeah, so maybe to fast track, I understand we need to, PSC should be leaving. So I'll just go maybe to the issues that we would like really to consider. One of the issues is the issue of regulatory hurdles, and this is the issue of approvals within the counties. We believe we need to engage so that we find a way that we can facilitate rollout through the issue of way leaves, the issue of permits. The other issue is the issue of access to premises. For example, we would like the owners of premises to be more flexible so that they can accommodate more players, so that there is fair choice for the consumers. We'd also like assistance to engage in terms of engaging community. We have challenges sometimes in due to misinformation about the risks of infrastructure. The other area is the area of prioritization of ICT in the plans of the counties. We believe this is an area we can engage. And how are we proposing to engage? So we are proposing to enhance our engagement, really. One is we would like to engage more through our regional offices. Two, we could also like to engage through Council of Governors forums, so that we see areas where the county can assist us, especially the usage gap, so that we can close that usage gap. So we look forward to stimulating discussions at this forum. For this particular county, apart from mobile, we've also rolling out fiber. I think the PS may also say something about it. And we have got a phase 1 where we have connected already 540 government offices. Phase 2 will be connecting about over 3,800. And for this county, we'll be connecting 108 institutions, whereby we have about 27 schools, 11 police stations. We have the hospitals, almost 10. So we've got quite a number of institutions we'll connect. So there's something we're already doing even for Mabei County. Thank you. So with this, I want to invite our peers who will be leaving us shortly. Karibu bwana peers.
No, thank you, La. Good afternoon. I think I wouldn't take long because I think the speakers ahead of me have laid the ground, and I know I'm engaging ICT experts and professionals, so they tend to process information quickly, just like now in the new AI era. So, and they will actually pick repeats if there is any repeat. So really to acknowledge the chair of TESPOC, the CEO of TESPOC, who really are acquaintances. I think we've been industry players in my respective previous life. Also the rep for the Communications Authority, which in fact is an ICT sector regulator. My brother from the National Bureau of Statistics. And you'll see why statistics is important, because in fact AI, which is an IT-owned sort of thing, is actually driven by data, and data is statistics. So we're kind of Siamese twins between us and the guys at the Bureau, because we use their numbers to run anything else. And then once you got enough data, you got metadata, then machine learning, then everything else follows. So they really are the drivers of where technology is going. So really, I will not go into detail around some of the groundwork that has been done, but just to say, I was actually meant to change the thread, sort of side event with my colleague Rechino Mbam, who is my good friend, this afternoon, to also show how technology can actually catalyze e-commerce, can actually catalyze trade. But once the guys at CA reached out to me last night, I defected. As you can see, I'm here, and trade, I told her she's on her own. We can meet in Nairobi. So really going back to emphasize the importance of the digital side of our economy. Not that the trade is any less, but indeed, digital is a current, digital is a future. And I think my colleagues have laid the foundation. Our leaders, sort of dating back to President Kibaki days, coming out, that we realized Kenya does not have any minerals. As you know, we don't have any minerals. Kenya does not have much sort of natural resources. I think the biggest natural resources are our people. And now once technology came in, tech. And that's why really you've got your Silicon Savannah set in Kenya. And so foundations were laid with, for example, the Kika Act that was laid initially 1988, then 1998, and then of course it's been revised every 10 years, which was very, very transformative, because that really is an enabler that opened the space for technology, that opened the space for innovation, especially in the IT space, that opened a space for youth. Underpinned with that was also the ICT policy where TESPOC comes in. So ICT policy, how do we actually enable, for example, including, for example, even things like tax on IT products. So that was done long ago to ensure that computers and computer appliances and those sort of services are affordable. They're not overtaxed to make them unaffordable. So there have been deliberate policy interventions to make sure that the country is actually walking the talk. That clearly we knew our future was going to be digital or some tech, and to show that, government then made a lot of concessions, and that's just not yesterday. And because policy transcends regimes, policy transcends governments, that has actually run on nearly for the last 3 regimes. You can talk President Kibaki time, President Uhuru Kenyatta time, now President William Ruto time. All following because the foundation is right. And that's why development communication and political communication is different. Development, you lay the foundation, you don't change anything if it's working. And indeed, the 3 regimes have actually been very consistent on the tech space, on the ICT space. So with our partners at TESPOC, really, is to say they are our private sector partners. Leo and the CA play a referee role. And like any other good play between partnerships, they are the ones who actually make jobs, make activities happen, while the CA does regulation, just to make sure that they're setting the right environment. Because regulators are also enablers. And I must say that play has been very good, since obviously you guys have contributed to all the regulations, changes, and policies that have actually come in, enabling the country to reach where it is. And it's something that we want to encourage at the count level. Just like the foundation that was laid at national level to make sure the players and the referees engage, to ensure that the rules of engagement are actually facilitative and enabling. That really is a call out that Dr. Fiona here was telling me as we were having a drink at the cafe before our time, to say what is actually the current challenge. So one Kenya, 48 governments, got to 47 county governments, so 47 county governments and 1 national government. So at the national level, it's very clear. I think the policy has been laid. We have experience. No one really doubts that ICT is the future. At county level, we've got a bit of rough edges, and I'm glad that we are actually represented here by a few county reps. Way leaves and permits. So that has actually come up even in the PSS forum, where the head of public service and chief of staff actually chairs. People have said, we want to extend the same finesse of tech and all these digital services that Leo spoke about to every corner of the country. But as soon as the operators, led by TESPOC and GSMA and all that, are actually extending, they get all these things about you need way leave, you need permits, you need this levy, you need this fee. Once they add up all those fees, the things becomes prohibitive. Some of them give up. You actually say, no, if it's going to cost me a fortune to set up services, sometimes in places where you even don't have any services at all, unserved, underserved, and no access, they then give up, and really it's one inch you end up losing. So our work as policymakers, and I commit this on behalf of my ministry and also the regulator, is to now harmonize between the county governments and national government and speak from the same song sheet, so that they start viewing TESPOC, GSMA, and those service providers as partners. They're actually coming to elevate the youth unemployment. They're actually coming to create jobs. They're actually coming to open the counties and open the rural villages, which in fact will then be good for all of us. So in terms of easements, in terms of waivers, in terms of enablement, I think the counties need to actually obviously take all that progressive thinking into account. And TESPOC and the rest of the other partners, please do reach out to us make your memos and representations. We'll then also engage our partners at the Council of Governors to make sure that we sort of approach it in the same way and enable you to deliver your services across the country. That's really a commitment I make. So just to say, and Leo spoke to this a bit, what are we actually doing at the national level? We know we've got a youth pulse, we've got a youth challenge, and really that's going to be my last remark. So what His Excellency the President did, because at any stage we will have a president and His Excellency William Samoei Ruto is the president. Part of the commitment he made was actually the digital superhighway and creative economy. If you look at the 5 pillars, so which talks to ICT, they realized agriculture, which is actually one of the pillars, is got a limit, but is actually enabled by ICT. The health, affordable health, where SHA drives, obviously rides on ICT. MSMEs, if you really want to run even your small business, you need to keep some sort of digital documentation. And of course, affordable housing, because then we're becoming very urbanized. So we do not want to damage all the agricultural land by building all these dotted houses all over. So the affordable housing became another pillar. So coming back to digital superhighway and the creative economy, we realize that this is the biggest potential for our youth. The world is all digital. Look globally. That's why everyone is online, mobile first. And for us to be able to deliver that digital first vision by His Excellency the President, he committed 100,000 fiber optic cable running across the country to every part of the country, from northeastern to western Kenya, to Nyanza, to Rift Valley, everywhere, Central Province, everywhere. So that cable is actually actively running, and Kenya Power and Lighting is actually going to run wherever you see the power cables. You will actually see the fiber optic cable running. So if you have got your power at home, you get high-speed internet in your home, because it will actually touch to every part of the country where power is actually touched. Then secondly, just to make sure that the cable is not the only thing you get, because that's like a highway, we are actually building about 1,450 hubs in all the wards. The wards where our MCAs represent, every single ward in the country will actually have a digital hub. Digital hub is a hall like this. You set up and you connect to the cable, meaning you then have high-speed internet. You then set up infrastructure for training of the youth. So literally every village, and I've been to Mombasa, I've been to parts of Rift Valley and all that, and even Nyanza here. In fact, we were at Kendube the other day launching some digital hubs. So every part of the country then has got digital access. The youth then go in and learn digital skills. They are able then to apply those digital skills in their respective professions, wherever they are. And that really is enabling the youth, who are our talent, who are actually very enabled, very educated, and having all the potential to use that energy for the good. So I want to commit that process of building 100,000 digital superhighway, 1,450 digital hubs, basically your centers for training. And among those digital hubs, you got centers of excellence. Every county will have one that is actually like super digital hub, where you then get trained trainers, so that we actually build the capacity locally. You don't have to get people from Nairobi coming to Homa Bay to train, or Kisii, or Migori, or Kiambu. The local people are given the capacity to train, and then they empower the local youth. Those are some of the things that the government is actually doing to enable, because government is actually a facilitator. Government is here to enable, open doors, and give opportunities so that everyone else, with the private sector or public, have the same opportunity to thrive, to trade, to grow. So as I close, I want to say, TESPOC, I think you have a major role to play in this economy. If you look at where jobs being created, the biggest element, the biggest opportunity for creating jobs currently in Kenya is actually in IT space. Be it fintech, be it any of the sort of, including even data, including all this sort of programming, all these things, coding, all these things. Everything's actually now IT-led, because IT is an enabler. And I think if we facilitate some of the asks you're giving us, we're actually helping the country to deliver some of the solutions, especially among the youth, which we know is the biggest challenge. So I want to commit that we partner with you, and we're looking forward to many more of these engagements. And we are open. I mean, the government is an open society. We are open to receive any of your presentations, any of your ideas, any of your petitions. And our work is actually to ensure that we make your life easier, and we enable by definitely delivering some of your expectations. With those few remarks, I want to thank you again and wish you good deliberations as you actually debate this very interesting discourse around ICT infrastructure as a core resource. I thank you.
Thank you very much, PS. Before you step off stage, we have a small token of appreciation, and then I would request that the chair, TESPOC, and DG, National Bureau of Statistics, and Director Burwet, please step up on stage for a photo shoot with our PS. Photographers, let us know when you're done. Thank you so much. Thank you, PS, for gracing this occasion. One last request as you leave. There's a request for a courtesy call sitting on your desk. We'd be honored to meet you at the office and have a greater deliberation. Thank you so much. And without much further ado, we'd like to get into our panel session. Our moderator for this session will be Dr. Asonga. I'd like to welcome you on stage to invite your panelists and introduce them. Asante.
Do you have enough seats and mics? Okay. So I'd like us to get into the panel on leveraging ICT infrastructure. And so to get us talking about this even further, I'm going to ask that the following come and join me on this stage. I will call on Mr. Ken Murage, who's currently Chief Technical Officer of Wananchi. Kindly, please come forward. Mr. John Omagwa, Chief Operations Officer of Mawingu. Mr. Lawrence Ochieng, Manager Planning and Design of Infrastructure at Soliton, Telmec. Daisy Ogola, Regulatory and Policy Manager at Safaricom. Then Jacqueline Kimani, Chief Officer of ICT, Kiambu County. Kindly join us. And to join this panel, I'm going to ask Mr. James Turuthi to come in in his capacity as Chief Operations Officer, Frontier Optical Networks. And I think you'll share.
Check.
Okay, so to move us into the conversation, It's okay, we'll share the mics. One from the other end and this one from this end, and we will have our conversation. And I'll keep asking those sitting at the back to come to the front. We are also going to be joined by the PS Devolution, so as soon as they are able to finish what they are doing and they come in, they will share with us their thoughts on how we can better engage with our partners at the county government level. So, to get us started, I want to appreciate the panelists for taking time to just be part of this conversation. And we have a lot of questions as service providers for the county governments. And I think, Jackie, I want to start with you. But I'm not going to pick on any one question per se. I'm going to put to you the questions that we have for counties. And there are about three or four main areas where we feel we need to hear from the counties, and we need to understand what the thinking is at that level so that we can see how we can best partner. When you go to make a friend, normally you want your friend to open up and to tell you what they like, what they don't like, so that that friendship can work. These are friendships we've been trying to get to work for the longest time. And I think it has reached a point where we have to make it work. And so I want you to be able to share with us what role you think digital infrastructure plays within the counties. Is it relevant? Is it relevant, or are we pushing an agenda that is not adding up from the county perspective?
Thank you, Fiona. Should I, when you meet a friend, can I continue? Okay. Thank you, Dr. Allow me to first start with appreciating TESPOC for organizing this side event. Number one is to appreciate PS in his absentia. Two, PS telecommunication and broadcasting. Two is PS Devolution, who just joined us right now. Then three is a chairman of TESPOC. And then we have yourself as CEO and DG as well from KBS. For us as a county, I represent the county government of Kiambu. You wrote a letter to His Excellency Dr. Wamatangi, so I'm actually seated here on behalf of my governor. Thank you, Dr. and thank you, TESPOC fraternity, for convening this important event. The reason I say it's important is because of the question that you've just asked. What is the role of digital infrastructure to government? When someone says 47 governments, I decline. It is 48 governments. It is not 47, it is 48 governments, because we are all working together for the delivery, for the service delivery of our people. Number one, the role of government is to provide services for our people. So we cannot have 1 and 47. It is ideally 48 governments. Now, let me go back to your question, Fiona, and answer it this way. When you move from 2.9 billion to 5.4 billion, that is an indication of what technology can do. What is that? That is our story as Kiambu County. We have moved our revenue from 2.9 billion to 5.4 billion. It is not about the increment of fees and charges. It is not about enacting laws that increase fees for our people. It is about re-engineering business processes. It is about reviewing what is it that we can do differently in this era, in this time that we are currently sitting on board in our positions for the development of our people. So when you talk technology in Kiambu, I would like to thank His Excellency Dr. Wamatangi, because technology for him is a heartbeat, because he understands what technology is about. Allow me to tell our story. When you move from 2.4 to 5.4, how have we done it? It is looking at our various laws and policies and re-engineering the business process. When I say re-engineering the business processes, what do I mean? It is looking at it from a teeny-weeny little shop. What exactly do you need to run your business? You need a single business permit. What does that mean? It means you need a trade license. It means you need a solid weight license. So when we unify all these fees and licenses and put them into one and ease your ways of operation, number one, what have we done? We have enabled you to actually continue with your service. Number two, we have created efficiency. Number three, as government, we have been able to consolidate all those fees and charges into one. Number two, on the issue of service delivery, all our hospitals in Kiambu, we operate under one health management information system. And I repeat, all our health facilities, 152 of them in Kiambu, we are operating under one health management information system. What has that done for our people? Is number one, when they go to a facility in Kiambu, maybe Kiambu level 5, go visit the clinician there. And maybe, for example, my grandmother maybe cannot go back there, maybe because of either because she's tired or something like that, or maybe it's convenient for her, and visits one other facility within the county. Her health records are there, so she does not have to move 20 kilometers or 40 kilometers to go back to Kiambu level 5 for her to be treated. No. So what has that done within the health fraternity? It is continuity in patient care. Number three, in terms of that, in terms of our drugs and in terms of our drugs itself, what has automation done for ourselves? If one of our health facilities is running out of drugs, the other health facility can't be able to clearly see what they have and request for that. This is not a wish, this is something that we have done, and I welcome you to visit and to look at it. So for us, we know what technology means. For us, we know what working with private sector means, because our governor understands that at the end of the day, it is not about in silos. It is about leveraging on the partnerships that we have. So when you told me it's only the county of Kiambu that is here, we are more than willing, because we understand what technology can do. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jackie, but you found others in the room who were shy to be at the front, but we still welcome all the counties, and I hope more county reps are joining us as we are streaming live, and they are being told, please look for that tent and sit in that room. And as we move, as you talk about the things that Kiambu has been able to do, I remember initially Kiambu was one of the first counties that allowed service providers to build ICT infrastructure for free. There was no way leave costs. And because of no way leave, the deployment that was done by service providers was significant. But I can now see why, because there was a plan. There was an agenda. And today, when you sit here confidently, because you took time to make sure we were in the county, I know that things are not all rosy and perfect, but we will come to that. Looking at what a county like Kiambu, for example, has been able to do, and considering the conversation that we had yesterday from the governor, Murang'a County, who says that his two problems to his digital health platform is lack of connectivity and power. I would like to give this chance to Mr. James Turuthi to just talk about the infrastructure, what infrastructure needs to be put in place before we are ready to deploy ICT properly. What are the things that need to be put to the ground?
Thank you, Fiona. Before I answer that question, which I appreciate you for, let's appreciate PS Devolution, Michael Loiken, Lena Salon. Thank you, sir, for making time. You mentioned something that many of us had yesterday and took it as a challenge. The innovations happening in Murang'a, which we really appreciate, having infrastructural challenges in power and unstable internet. The people in this room live, breathe, as I've mentioned before, those items you've mentioned, and so digital infrastructure is personal to us. It's not just something we take lightly, it's about connecting people. And as Jackie has said, it's about connecting systems, processes, and decisions are made out of this. So when counties invest in the right digital backbones, 3 big transformations happen. And that has been highlighted here. You get revenue collection up. I'll come back to it in a moment. Second, service delivery changes. You don't have to do paperwork for permits, paperwork for all manner of approvals. That improves. But an important one that we are hearing a lot lately is governance and transparency. Digital infrastructure enables governance and transparency. But to go back to revenue collection, broadband and the solutions and systems that you're hearing Jackie and others talk about allow counties to digitize revenue streams from business permits, which we here need in order to lay our solutions out there. You cannot lay fiber, you cannot have put towers in any county without permits. And from all this, we need to be enabled to do quickly. So parking fees, market levies, digital payments mean fewer leakages. Better compliance, because it's all digital. And then also you have real-time tracking of collections. This is all enabled by digital infrastructure. I'll move on to the next one, service delivery. When counties are connected, public services can move online quickly. And we've had here licensing, health records, agricultural extension, even waste management requests. This reduces queues, travel costs for us users, even manual paperwork. It frees up county staff to focus on value-added tasks rather than manual administration. Our Gen Zs have been really on us about this in terms of governance and transparency. And the digital infrastructure that is provided allows for integrated systems that give more visibility and governance. When you can see dashboards, you can see systems online, leaders can use these for the evidenced decision making, data used for making decisions. So also you can have citizen-based citizen feedback platforms. These are all tied to service delivery performance. Thank you, CEO.
Thank you so much, Chair. I'd like to move on to Ken Murage. You have been in the industry a while. You have seen the transition from as we got into the devolved units. And when you compare the journey, when you look at the journey of where we've gone through, how would you compare the costs today of deploying infrastructure vis-a-vis other periods, the beginning of devolution, and when you look at these costs, what would you say needs to be done? What is the impact of the costs? What needs to be done? How can we be able to deploy our ICT infrastructure in a more meaningful way?
Thanks, Phil, and thanks everyone for joining us. And of important for us to understand is initially as we started the rollouts of fiber infrastructure, GSM services, the costs were quite manageable. And I think it was a space that initially was sort of neglected, not looking at the size of revenue that would come out of it. But as this industry has grown, it's gotten to a point where most of the institutions have looked at it as a cash cow, as a point at which, be it part of central government, be it the devolved functions, the counties, where people have taken advantage to take up costs up without checking up with the users or the operators. Case in point is counties that have come up one day, tell you the cost of putting up a pole is 50 bob, tomorrow it's 1,000 shillings. And you want to understand what is the rationale, and unfortunately you cannot do anything because the counties have gotten to a point where they have people who operate like, I can call them goons, because they will harass you on the road, they will carry your tools, they'll go lock them up, and before you even touch your tool is 5,000 shillings. Before you even start discussing, the guy does not understand why you're doing what you're doing. So there's some sort of misalignment between what the operators do and what the enforcement teams in the counties do, and not understanding what is the benefit of what we do to the people. I was giving an earlier example that it would really help in revenue collection as basic thing as getting a driving license. I could be driving from Homa Bay to Kisii, and at the point I realize that my driving license is expired, I should be able to stop on the side, renew it, take a screenshot, have it on the phone, and if the next policeman stops me, I'm able to show him, this is my license, just renewed. Okay? We should get the digital services to a point where they are generating revenue easy without having to compel people to do it. And one of the things that the digital services should do is to enable the counties and even the central government to basically generate revenue easy without having to push people to do it. Fiona.
Thank you so much, Ken. A follow-up question to what you've said. So does that mean that we need to do some level of capacity building at the county level, or what would you suggest as a way forward?
I think as an operator, and I'm glad that the PS Devolution is here, one of the things we need to look at is how do we standardize some of this permit cost to a level that is manageable. We have a lot of small operators. Safaricom, Mwananchi could afford the cost of permit, which is true. But we have quite smaller operators who either handling smaller regions and they cannot afford those cost of permits. You'll give Safaricom 100 million, tomorrow walikula 100 billion, return watalipa. Then we'll go down to an operator. We'll go down to an operator. It's not even.
Daisy from Safaricom is not agreeing to that statement.
We'll have an operator who's making, 2 billion, 3 million. He has a small workforce, and he has to match the sort of permit levels we're talking about as the bigger players. But we need to get to a point where the level is balanced, but not more so as the operator level, but at the county level. We have a county, and I'll not be afraid to say it, Mombasa County will give me a ridiculous bill, and because I don't have an option, I have to go negotiate, find Fiona, we go fight, and do everything we need to do. We'll fight on the WhatsApp groups until we get to a point where the rate is affordable. Then we have very good counties. Nakuru is really okay. You go to some counties, Kiambu, Yutongea Badai. The pain is real. I know all your officers by name, their phone numbers, everything. Why? Because it's not the easiest to do it. Okay? And it's that point where I want you to really come in as counties. Let's work together. If possible, if the government's dream is to give us 100,000 kilometers, and I heard the other day it's 100,000 institutions connected. As operators, what do we need to do to get you to 80,000, 50,000, 20,000 without having the government to put in that cost? And then that remaining infrastructure, can it be put in areas that are needy? I know places like Marsabit, I know places like Makueni, I know places like Lamu, where before those guys can get to a point of downloading a movie or listening to a YouTube video is a whole lot of a story. Then can those resources be taken there? But at this point, can the counties come to the level where do you want us to give you services to even help you? We're ready to connect Kiambu hospitals for free so that those services can be given to the people, so that we are not only collecting revenue, but also giving back to the people. Yeah.
Thank you, Ken, for that follow-up response. I'd like to ask John, how do you think that the counties need to support our initiatives? Because I think one of the challenges that has been there, actually what we've observed as TESPOC, is that when they find you're sharing infrastructure with as infrastructure owners, we've seen it in Nairobi County. The fight between Kenya Power and the county becomes a fight of service providers who have nothing to do with that agreement. What do you think the counties need to do to support our infrastructure sharing initiatives?
Thank you, Fiona. I think a good discussion where we want to see infrastructure sharing being the way going forward. I've seen my partners from American Towers here who have even enabled co-locations in terms of towers. Otherwise, we would be building towers left and right for the same purpose. When I was driving from Rongo to here, I saw 5 cables on the road coming down. So I'm assuming if there were 30 service providers coming to Homa Bay, what will be the aesthetic of that road look like? You've seen in one corner, you have 18 poles just because there are 18 service providers. Do you want to see our towns looking like that? No. Would want to see the aesthetics of our towns getting the same infrastructure sharing. We've talked about DG hubs where every county, every ward will have a DG hub. That will be like a mini data center for all of our providers. We're landing there, we have power, we have security, we have all these infrastructures in the same place. Now, how do we do that? We want to see the counties embrace us. When we apply for these permits, sometimes we feel rejection. We feel the hassle. You submit your application, you have to follow it up. And I want to just echo what Kenya Power has done. Digitizing the application. You're able to see where your application is. It has moved from this point to this point. Your application is ready. So one of the things that we're looking up to is standardizing and digitizing all these applications across the 47 counties. Let us also have an SLA that when you've applied for a permit, you will not wait from one county to give you 6 months feedback. Another county can give you in 2 weeks. If we can standardize it and have easy approvals across the place, then it becomes easy. Other thing we would like to see is also that the county also have updated infrastructures, maps, where we know by the time you're applying, they already know what is on ground. You get approval, and when you go to the ground, you find that it's a mess. It's not what has been approved. So I think the ability of counties in terms of updating their plans, their infrastructure, where they are going to do infrastructure upgrades, their roads which are being done, also prior notification to the service providers that this is going to happen. How do we incorporate you? And I think one of the things that we also as members of TESPOC are pushing is to be incorporated in this urban planning. What are our needs? How do we get incorporated in the urban planning? Do we have enough manholes? Do we have enough power lines that can serve us? Do we need to all of us pull the same cable, yet we can, agree as service providers and, share infrastructure and serve the customers? I think the other part is to ensure that in terms of licensing, all of us have an easy time. So the counties play a big role in this. If they can give us an easy time and support us in terms of deployment. And I think the last part would be by them embracing us, as Muragi has said, we can also bring in partners who can help digitize these schools, these hospitals, these police stations that we're looking at. And with these partners on board and us as service providers, we are able to achieve the target together. Thank you.
Thank you so much, John. Quickly, I'll ask Engineer Leo to jump in, because as the regulator, you have put in place infrastructure sharing regulations. But I think at the county level, there hasn't been that dissemination of information for them to understand that we do work on infrastructure sharing principles. That means if I have got, if I'm one service provider, I can actually lay my infrastructure on behalf of other service providers, and we are sharing, and therefore the manhole, at the manhole point, we are all accessing, because we are sharing that facility. We don't need to all have our own individual manhole. But I think the challenge is that because a county sometimes is looking at, I want to charge for opening the manhole, for you accessing a manhole, for each manhole that is built. When you begin to think that and put revenue streaming into that arrangement, it messes up a lot of things. What does the regulator have to say in as far as infrastructure sharing is concerned?
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate the discussion so far. As I said earlier, as an authority, we've done so much in terms of coverage of service, population coverage. But our challenge is still in the usage. Usage is still a big issue, and that's why we see the county as a partner to catalyze that uptake. When it comes to the issue of infrastructure sharing, that's really something it's in our regulations, we have guidelines. But what I want to say is it's more of we have an opportunity to partner with counties so that we can make it more. For example, recently we had to communicate to owners of premises to open their premises to other competitors. It was an issue. We issued a press statement as the authority, but I think we need to go beyond that statement. And we need to engage, and we already have the structures. As I was telling you, we have regional offices now. So we want to activate those offices so that we engage for specific issues for particular counties, because each office is responsible for each county. And then it's happy that my neighbor here has moved, say, from 2.5 to 3.4. That's why that engagement is important, because there seem to be other issues that have not been addressed from your neighbor. The revenue has come, but the other issue. And from our side as a regulator, we recognize the role of the county government. We recognize they need some levies. But I think the important thing is whatever levies are charged should be harmonized across the counties. And also there should be levies that do not deter. Because I think once you deter, like your example, you said you allowed without any payment, isn't it?
Initially, they allowed us without any payment, and then when they started billing, it was fire. Okay. Cars are impounded, staff are arrested, equipment is confiscated, you name it.
So the 5.4 has got some increase, or no increase? No increase, okay. But I think the bottom line from our CA as a regulator is we encourage infrastructure sharing, but I don't think we've reached where we'd like to be. Yeah, and what we are saying is let's use this opportunity to engage, because we have the structures to engage, but we have not used them effectively. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Engineer. Now to Lawrence Ocheng, you spent a lot of time building, literally. Pass the mic. You literally spend a lot of time building this infrastructure. You visited more counties than the rest of us, because you work for all of us in the different counties building infrastructure. What would you say are the challenges you've been able to you have experienced, and what emerging innovations do you think we should adopt?
Yes, Dr. Fiona, thank you very much for that. As you have mentioned, I'm coming from a company that is not a service provider, but a company that is one of the enablers for the infrastructure constructions across the country. This company is called Soliton Telmec. We don't provide the services. Now, we all realize that many of the problems that we encounter that slows down about internet service provision in this country is about the infrastructure. It is like having so many vehicles, but there are no roads, so you can't go anywhere. Incidentally, this is again the other area where to establish internet services in the country is the most expensive area. Number two, it is one of the most chaotic areas in this market of
internet provisions in this country. And therefore, it is very important to have all the stakeholders, including the county governments, and not only the county governments, also the national government, together with the policymakers, members of parliament, to come up with legislations to enable the growth of internet services in this country to go on. Now, again, the county should also welcome the engagement with all participants in this market, because there could be some areas that they don't know, and they will only detect areas where they can benefit by sitting down with the other stakeholders, sharing opinions, and making the environment becoming easy for everybody to enable the country to grow in terms of service provisions. The national government has come in as one of those participants in the infrastructure provisioning, but the national government has a limitation. They cannot go beyond that. They can provide the backbones of the infrastructure and the hubs, the main hubs at the county levels, different areas of the county level, but they cannot go beyond that. And unfortunately, where they cannot venture is the heaviest area of infrastructure in internet service provision. It is the area that carries the heaviest part of the network, distributing and terminating to the people who require it. Again, when it comes to sharing, if the counties would allow the stakeholders to sit down with them, they will be told that there are areas that you can also lay your infrastructure and allow the service providers to come in and share that infrastructure, and you collect the revenue every year or every month from each one of them. And this one will also make some of your areas, particularly CBDs, to be very clean without interruptions every now and again. So those are the very important areas that the counties should look at. Now, Doctor, you have asked me about the innovations that have come up. Yes, these are the methodologies for providing the infrastructure in the telecommunication networks. It is also changing very fast, and there are factors that have really called for that, because the old methods are becoming inconvenient at different levels. We have had the old methods like human labor deployment to provide infrastructure. This one has been a method that has a lot of problems and inconveniences to the public and even to the traffic in towns, and therefore, and also it is one method where the environment suffers a lot. There's a lot of degradation of the environment when we have human labor going on, whether in town or outside town. Now, one of them is about the natural human call of nature,
or enjoy the weekend or something like that.
And
it seems
as I've said, interfering with traffic flows in towns, both vehicles and human beings, and therefore, other technologies have come that can mitigate those kind of problems in different areas. Some of them include, the human labor is one of them, and then we have had trenches using machines. We call them open trench, which actually has been very inconvenient in terms of disturbance to the ground surfaces. In town, a lot of disturbance on pavements, blockades on business entrances, and all the rest. So there are some major solutions that have come up, and stakeholders, including the county government, should embrace them. One of them is using plowing machines, which is very convenient for long haul outside town. This is a method where you have 3 in 1 going together. You trench, you lay the ducts, and backfill without disturbing the ground on either side of the machine. And that one is most convenient because the inconveniences, including leaving open trench for some times, causing injuries to the people, or causing the blockage to the animal crossings and all that. The moment you go a distance, even a meter, you have completed everything. So that one is one of the methods that already is in the market now. Now, another one is now there are machines that are made specifically for crushing the rocks. Before then, we had methods that it would be a lot of noise within the area where the work is going on. And again, the way it was working, you would break the rocks, get them out. You don't use them for backfilling. Then you have to transport soil from elsewhere, come and backfill. And all those are disturbing the ground surfaces. So the rock crushing machine would actually crush the rock to the finer particles, to the extent that it is the same materials that you have dug out of the rock that will be used for backfilling. And at the end of the day, you don't go elsewhere to disturb the ground surfaces to come and do the backfilling. Then we have a third method, which is called horizontal directional drilling. This one is a very important method that can be used in towns, congested areas, and all that. Because even if it is a house, it is a business area, you only pass underground without somebody knowing that you're passing underground and lay your ducts, as long as you remain within the allowed public way-live. So these methods, one of another area or another factor that is very important for these methods is about preventions of soil erosions. Because the old methods, you'd go to areas where people have worked, and then you realize that the ground is now going to be prone to soil erosions. So these are innovations that all the stakeholders should come to know about them and should be embraced. The other day I saw duct laying in Mombasa from Telephone House all the way to Nyali. Members of public didn't realize what was going on because horizontal directional drilling was going on. And it was very good for the county because the county would be very ambitious to make sure that the town is clean all the time. But the old methods, there's no way you can clean the towns. You can keep the town clean for a long time because service providers are many, and every now and again they would go back to the same point along the same road at different times to open the ground all the time. And again, also road crossings where other government agencies have become very expensive. These are the things that at the end of the day service providers should discuss with them, because there before, fee for cutting the road was for reinstatement, because you are not allowed. Kenya would not allow you to go back and reinstate by yourself. So they would take the fee so that By the time you finish your job, they would go back and reinstate to the way they want. So at that time, it was understandable. But now, railways, roads, everywhere, we have innovations that are now very convenient, and those fees should be actually discussed and agreed upon. They should not just continue like that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Lawrence. I think you've gone into an interesting part of the conversation, and it takes us back to what P.S. Saboke said earlier before he left. We need to be able to recognize that the ICT agenda is being driven at the national level. There's an ICT policy. As you're talking, you think of the national ICT policy that looks to connect every Kenyan. It does not break down into counties and all. It just brings connectivity, you know. And as you're talking about the different technologies, again, another issue that is coming up is the issue of public participation. We are seeking audience with county governments because I'm sure if I ask those who are here, when you do your finance bill and we come and give input, stakeholder input, on the proposals around ICT infrastructure deployment, telling you there is new technology. The new technology doesn't allow us to do this, so you can't charge it this way. You have to change the way you're doing it. You guys want us to stay old school. If we stay old school, how does that help us? And here is Bureau of Statistics wanting to keep track. How many houses are we connecting? How many Kenyans are we connecting? The investment we put into trying to do things the way counties are thinking through them would better be used in other ways. And so we come to the issue of our participation in this regulatory space. Daisy, from your experience in the industry so far, seeing that we have engaged at different levels, at the national level, at the county level, to try and get our policy and regulatory environment streamlined. How do you think county legislation would need to be addressed so that it aligns with the national digital infrastructure plans to ensure there is harmonized development?
Thank you, Fiona. I seem to be receiving some tackles from my panelists. But
I believe Ken was putting it in gist.
I know. But I receive it in good faith. I know where they're coming from.
Yes.
And I'm really glad that we're having this conversation. So at Safaricom, as you may know, we have the vision of becoming Africa's leading purpose-led technology company by 2030. And to this end, we have democratized communication services within Kenya, and as you saw recently, in Ethiopia. We equally have M-Pesa in more than 7 countries within Africa. And as you may know, we recently reached our hallmark of 50 million customers connected in both Kenya and Ethiopia. So we have really endeavored to drive this agenda of connecting everybody, to make sure that everybody is digitally included. You find that in areas that are unserved or underserved, right? We have partnered together with the partners within the sector to ensure that we put in towers such as built to suit for a particular area. But even beyond that, under our licensing obligations, one of the things that we have partnered together with the Communications Authority of Kenya through the Universal Service Fund, we have been able to roll out digital infrastructure in those particular areas. So this is something that is very passionate and dear to us as an organization, to make sure that everybody is connected. So to the question of public participation, Fiona, I think there's been a lot of good reception at a national government level. I think we are yet to see that within the county level. I know with time they will up their game and they will be able to equally allow us to just submit our proposals or our way forward in terms of how we are operating, right? I think also some of the challenges that we are seeing still within this particular niche is that, as you actually also pointed out earlier, ICT infrastructure is not a devolved function. So when we speak to county legislation, I grapple to sort of put it in picture, because once it is national function, it is purely national function. So I think, in my opinion, and I am happy to hear the opinion of the rest of the panelists, I think county governments should look up to or seek guidance from national government. Because remember, we are equally classified as critical infrastructure. What that means then is that we cannot be handled just like any other infrastructure. So it requires a lot of dedicated policy thinking, implementation, and legislating, right? So I think for us just to guide county legislation or county governments to seek a sort of a middle ground in terms of how to go forward. Because remember, county legislation is subsidiary legislation. We can equally, as Safaricom, decide we will not abide or we do not want to go this way, but this is not something we do. We actually sit down with the county governments and we work around, you know, this particular niche, because we understand it's quite complicated, right? So we are really calling on the county governments to just sort of have their ducks in a row in terms of how they want to go forward, not only with us as stakeholders, but equally with national government. Because at the same time, and the operators on this panel will also tell you, when it comes to matters of even paying these way leaves, it is duplicitous, if not a multiplicity, because I'm paying my county, I'm paying national government through the various authorities, whether it is Kura, Kenha, the whole, you know. So what does that mean? It means now that as an operator, my bills are inflated. I'm not able to roll out infrastructure as I would like to because of these barriers, right? So what does that then mean practically on the ground? It means we are not able to reach the mwananchi who most needs this particular service because there's a barrier of cost. So if county legislation and county governments can sort of come together, not just as county, but equally with national government and all stakeholders to sort of streamline this process, I think we can have some really good headway, because I think we have shown that we are willing and ready and capable to do it. But if we keep meeting these barriers, then we will keep delaying the rollout of infrastructure, and the mwananchi is the one that suffers the most.
And the youth will not have jobs.
Correct. Thank you.
Very interesting conversation. Now my last question to everyone on the panel, including Jackie, because what is coming through is the need for us to have some policy interventions, legislative interventions, so that we are able to find a way of working around with the county governments, because the service that we offer is a critical service. It is not a devolved function. Yeah. And so I would like to give a chance to those who feel they can respond to that. What specific policy or legislative gaps, because you've all mentioned them. Do we need a bill on public participation at the county level, you know? Do we need to have Ministry of Interior finalize on the critical infrastructure protection bill so that then the counties have to align? Because something has to give. Or Jackie, do we just become good friends and agree to support each other? CA will start us off.
Thank you very much for the discussion so far. I think from where I sit, really, I want to say we have the regulations in place, we have the policy in place, and as the Constitution actually made this ICT function national function, So what I propose is issues have emerged from the ground, and the operators have felt them. I think the way forward is for those issues to be packaged, and then we can engage the county governments, because the county governments also can make subsidiary legislation, but I think that should be aligned now to the national objective, because we are all there to get the same objective. So I think it's a matter of conversation. Yeah, I don't believe we need another law. I believe the laws we have are adequate. Of course, the critical is important. I think it's ongoing. But in terms of ICT, because we had the same challenge, I remember when in broadcasting. Remember, every county wanted to start a broadcasting station. But we had an engagement with county governments, and eventually it was actually realized that broadcasting is a national function. So county governments are actually developing content now. So in fact, they develop content, and then the content is carried by the stations, KBC and any other station. So this conversation we had, and we resolved that one very amicably. So what I believe for this one, let the operators crystallize the issues, rob in the regulator, rob in the ministry, and then we engage the county governments, because I'm sure the county governments, given the example of, we have a champion here from Kiambu who will be with us. You've seen the benefits of facilitating rollout. Thank you.
Okay, maybe I could go next. What's the way forward? And I remember we had similar sittings with former CS Owalo, and Owalo gave us a promise that well leaves and permits will be free. I don't know if anyone remembers that. He promised us well leaves and permits will be free. Why? So that we could meet this dream of connecting over 100,000 institutions for government, but while at it, reach out to that Mama Mboga, that boda guy, to be able to access the 22,000 digital services that the government has already put up. These services can only be accessed if we allow Safaricom, allow Airtel, allow Telecom, any other person to go out and deploy. We can have the services up there in a server sitting, but if I cannot have the vehicle to get me to the service, it is useless. So I still stand. I think the permits should just be free. Thank you.
Check.
No, you can go ahead.
Hello? Yeah. I think for me, the language that we need to repeat loud and clear is that this is not a devolved function. If it can go down to the counties to understand this, so that they work with us, that we are dealing with one entity, so that we don't multiply and repeat our efforts, I think that is the most critical support that we need. And I think we might not need them to be free per se, but let them enable us to connect the customer at the end.
All right. I think I'd like to echo what the panelists have said, but even more to that, I think we've seen some really good faith from other counties, such as Marakwet and Uasin Gishu, who've given us actually waiver to roll out infrastructure because they understand the impact in terms of what that does to the populations, right? So I think if other counties can try and mirror that, then I think this will no longer be a conversation of if, but when, you know? So I think for the county governments in the house, if they can try and just mirror that, I know not all might be able to give a waiver, but at least they can be reasonable in terms of now how we move forward. That would really help in terms of the rollout of the infrastructure. Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much. I'd like to try something different and maybe see with Daktari here, DG, Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, in areas like Marakwet, where we've had collaboration, And thanks to working with CA, there's been areas where we are seeing these policies and regulations are bearing fruit. If we can do a study and show in areas where there's good engagement and these non-tariff, if you will, barriers are removed, this has been the impact. You know, when you show someone that type of data, they are willing to sit back and say, oh, okay, this is good. So I say maybe in the 12 years of devolution, there have been many activities. Maybe we do something different. These studies that we can work with Kenya National Bureau of Statistics and CA, and we show where we are being enabled to lay digital infrastructure. This is the impact. And Madam Kimani, that we can work with you too. 2.4 billion to 5.4 is a big deal. But let's get that type of information out there to the governors, and this is really the impact it has. And I think they'll be willing to listen. But again, I'd like us to collaborate, partner with TESPOC, CA, and see these governors, and I'm sure they'll be willing to listen, as Engineer Leo has told us.
I think I'm going to suggest something that is a little bit different. We know the rules and regulations through the CA are there, but as far as I know, these regulations are about the engineering of establishing a network. There's nothing that actually talks on revenue collections. And in fact, it is not only the counties, even the government agencies, the road agencies, Kenya Railways, everybody is milking from the service providers. Railways now, you need almost a million to cross a railway line. And yes, you are going to drill, and you're not going to disturb any ground surface. Whether you are going, even the airspace, they're charging. When you are putting an overhead route, okay, they charge you very heavily. So it is not only the county. And therefore, my suggestion is some legislation has to be done about this. Now, the government is very ambitious. The government has a very big dream to reach every Kenyan in every corner of this country. But the limitation of the government in providing the network is there. They cannot go beyond a certain level. If they connect anybody, it has to be a government institution. But we are talking about millions and millions of Kenyans who would want to use the internet services to provide jobs, to earn livings, and also to develop any kind of, to help the economy of this country to grow. So the regulations from the CA are not enough. It is about engineering. It is not about the relationship between the service providers and other stakeholders.
Yes, DJ. Now, allow me to speak on behalf of Kiambu. And I like what Chairman said. Initially, yes, we can see the power and the potential of welcoming the service providers on board, right? Right now, we currently have more than 150 young people in Kiambu who have laid more than 300 kilometers of fiber. And this you're talking about in our markets, and I'm sure Mr. Murage knows about that. We're talking about our markets, our houses, and all that. So when we talk about welcoming private sector, please come, let's have a conversation, because that is what we have done. Secondly, the issue to do with way leaves and asking, when Mr. Murage asked about having the permits to be free, maybe allow me to say no on that. Because, why am I saying no on that? What does 5.4 translate to? Let's translate the 5.4. The 5.4, which ideally is what our citizens are paying, they are paying for services. What does that mean? It means that we have, from the 5.4, we have done 312 ECD centers within 2 years. We have done more than 10,000 enabled our women with distribution of fertilizers and farm inputs. What does that mean? It means you're making people have more in their pockets. It means you're improving livelihoods. It means at the end of the day, the money that they would have actually spent on extra thing, they're bringing fiber to their homes. All right? Number 3, we have improved our level of service delivery in terms of our hospitals. Okay? Number 4, when you look at it now in terms of our road network as well, that we've been able to do. So when you say it's going to be free, that means at the end of the day, you're depriving the citizens of this country in that particular county to get services. So let's not look at it as a free service. I don't believe in free. Let's talk about it in terms of where can we meet, where is our middle ground, okay? Now, as I conclude, what have we done as a county government? I like what CA does with regards to the categorizations of the tiers of the people that needs to come on board. Mr. Murage talked about the big players, and Daisy, I'm not looking at you. Been able to afford the amount of money for laying fiber. Okay, I'm not looking at you. But what we've actually done is that we've sat with our young people, okay? And we've said, can we mirror what CA has, all right? In our next finance bill, when we're doing public participation, you will see that tier in there. Why am I saying that confidently? Is because I lead the ICT department in Kiambu. So when we had a conversation with our young people, we said our wayleaves was 100 shillings per kilometer, but we have reduced that to 90% with 90%. So we're talking about between 10 to 20%. We're actually talking about 10 to 20. What does that mean? It's enabling more young people to come on board to lay their fiber. Whatever they are giving us is what we are able to do as government. Okay? So when we talk about half, let's not talk about half. Let's not talk about having free things. Let's talk about meeting at the table and having a conversation in terms of this is what CA is doing, this is what national government is doing. Fiona, as I conclude, ICT ideally is a critical infrastructure. I love the mining and oil and gas industry. Technology is driven by extractive sector. True or false? 60% of what we have in this country, actually Africa, ideally, is going to drive technology in Africa. We have the biggest, number 5, in the country, ideally in the world, sitting in Kwale County. Our Colton, ideally, from Meru, is driving the technology in this country, okay? What you have on your phone is technology, is ideally mining. So when we talk about technology, let's also think about it in terms of what are the critical minerals that we have in this country. Allow me to leave it at that, because critical minerals drive critical infrastructure. Critical infrastructure in this case, what is it? It is ICT. What do we have? We have that in this country. We have that in this county. And a few kilometers, like two hours drive from here, what do we have? We have gold in Migori County, which ideally is funneling the ICT. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Jackie, for just highlighting all that and letting us realize how challenged we are on the value addition side of things. Because though we have all that, the value addition still remains, again, another issue we need to talk to, but not for today. So with that said and done, I want to open up to a conversation, and before I do that, you will allow me to recognize the presence of PS Devolution, Michael Lenasolan. And I want you, having listened to our conversation, I'm going to ask you to please come forward and give us your remarks so that as we have now opened up the floor to a conversation, it includes PS Isaboka's comments, it includes your comments and your views as well, and then we can have now everyone giving in their inputs and giving in the ideas and asking us questions based on a holistic view of the entire conversation. Kindly, if you will please come and take the podium here.
Check.
All right. Thank you very much, colleagues from national and county governments and our fellows from the private sector. my name is Michael Lena Salon, PS for Devolution, and I'm also an ICT person. I'm a cybersecurity person on the defensive side. So I actually not very conversant with the telecoms, but I can try from the discussions. First of all, in the devolution space, the county government are motivated to to leverage on technology because of the demand that is there, the demand for good governance, the demand for effective and efficient service delivery, and also the constrained fiscal space, because also technology saves some shillings. So the county government, I think they are ready to adapt technology and also with the 22,000 services provided by national government, people are struggling to access them. So they know that their citizens require. So then what is the missing link here? With the deployment of infrastructure from the private sector is profit driven. So you are trying to look at your margins, what you are losing in the way live, and maybe also what you are losing maybe in the remote connectivity of in the ISPs, in the internet, and then imagine all those and trying to know where you are. So how then can you advise the county government? So first of all, we will propose technical assistance. The entire stakeholders should have a conversation so that we can have a technical assistance aspect, because I don't even think the county government understand the role of the national as far as the ICT, the specifics. The legislation at the county government should understand. So as part of your CSR, you can do a technical assistance aspect and also have a conversation at the national government level with the ICT authority and the telecommunications, so that we can have a harmonized way of assisting our people. I will give an example. We design programs to support county governments. National government also designs other telecommunication department. They also design programs. Then what is your input in these programs, so that when you go to the ground, you are also sorted? So those are my, and then also there's a conversation on the devolved functions. That one will also affect in the fullness of time the permits, because if there will be no Kera road or Kura road, there will be a county road. Then maybe when you will reduce those many duplication, as you have said. Thank you.
Thank you so much, PS, for that intervention. Alan, I need you walking down, passing on the mic. So anyone who has something to contribute, or a question, or any feedback, this is the time for that, because we want to have this conversation. Remember, conversation, discussion, it's not us giving a lecture. It's we've said, you say, we'll answer back what we can. Kama hatujui. Tutasema hiyo, wacha tuende tufanye homework. So the floor is now open. I think, Alan, how much time are you giving us?
We've run past our time, but I think we can have 15 minutes of Q&A and then we can close.
Thank you very much. Okay. When you get the mic, kindly give us your name, where you're from, as in terms of organization, if you represent a county, and then make your statement. Thank you.
Thank you, Fiona and team. My name is Kome Isaac from ATC Kenya, in charge of public affairs. I don't know where to begin, because I think there are so many issues that have been raised, and some of the issues that we face on a daily basis. Some of the issues I know, Fiona, we've discussed with you. I know, engineer, there we had several conversations about the same. But I want to start maybe by correcting the PS. when it comes to issues about the implementation and in terms of division of laws, it's actually not an issue of the counties not understanding. It is an issue of implementation. I think some counties have bluntly refused to actually follow the fourth schedule, and they have decided that the issues or the functions of national government now belongs to them. I think it's just an issue they have decided, no, we also need to make this money. It is true, we agree, counties do have revenue targets. It is important that they raise money so that they become self-sufficient, but at what cost? I'll just talk on two issues. I know we have so many issues that we can discuss, but I'll talk about two issues. I remember Fiona mentioning here how service providers and infrastructure providers are being harassed. I had an incident about a month ago where a certain county went to a telecommunication site at Hawa. People who are not trained climbed up at Hawa, removed the equipment, and took them to some storage facility without understanding what are the repercussions of that, what is even the cost of this. There are very many ways if you want actually to implement or to take action or enforce whatever you want to enforce of doing it. Why don't you just close that gate and say that we are looking at that you cannot access? And these issues come because of the actions of the county. I apply for a permit. I am happy that Jackie from Kiambu is here and she's talking very passionately about how Kiambu is passionate. I agree. Kiambu is very passionate, but in the wrong direction. You are passionate in the sense that, yes, you want to go digital. But if I want to apply for PPA permit today, what is the process? Everything is manual. A committee has to sit every month to approve. And if my papers have not been sent from a sub-county, they wait for another month. But what does the law say? The Public Planning Act. If within 60 days I do not get a response, it is deemed that that permit has been approved. But if I go to the site and do the construction, he will come and knock at my door. As I think his name is Moraga was saying that he knows every officer from Kiambu County. I think I even know the village elders. I have more than 1 million WhatsApp messages here. Everybody is sending me an invoice about a fee for a certain county, for a certain site. Kiambu is interesting. I'll talk about Kiambu because you are here. And it's a problem that is in other counties. When I apply, yes, I'll make it very short. I'm speaking for many because I know we are the most neutral company in terms of provision of infrastructure. So for Kiambu, I'll just talk about two issues. One of the issues is when I apply for a permit, I expect that within that period that you've stated as you start the period, I'll get that permit. But when I don't get it and I go to construct, you'll come and start imposing some penalties that are not anchored even in any of your finance acts. If you look at the Finance Act of 2024, that is currently operational in Kiambu County, there are, of course, the PPA 2 fees that are already there. But now, they introduce something very interesting. There is a fee that I am supposed to pay after every 3 years. They call it extension of development permission, renewal of change of use, or extension of use for BTS. After every 3 years, if my permit fee was 300,000, after every 3 years, I need to pay that fee again. The question is, why am I paying it? I'm not undertaking a new variation. I'm not doing new construction. Why are you charging me for a business that is in existence? You're telling me you already built a building, but please, can you pay a building permit again? For what? So these are some of the challenges that we're facing. Number two, which is the last issue that I want to talk about, they have also introduced some amorphous charges in the Department of Environment that I don't know where they come from, and it's unfortunate that these laws have to be made at the county assembly, because why would you introduce a fee of like about 150,000 per tower, or what in my village they call a booster, across the county for environment management? I do not understand what that is. I've had 1,000,001 conversations with different people in Kiambu, at the county level, at the sub-county levels and all that. But we still don't understand that. If maybe we can get an understanding, and first of all, please start implementing what is in Schedule 4. What is not there, can we have a conversation before you start harassing our people and harassing the service providers? At least we can start somewhere. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we go to Kiambu, I'd like to take at least one or two questions so that they can be answered all together.
Thank you very much. My name is Mahat Chale. I am the Secretary, Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations, State Department for Devolution. The PS is my boss. From a devolution perspective, or from a solution perspective, I would recommend that we deal with matters intergovernmental relations, and intergovernmental sector forums is an avenue to address most of the intergovernmental issues that have been raised as challenges. We can convene. If we get this information packaged well, we can convene an intergovernmental sector forum involving all the players from the county governments and national governments. Then you can have conversation. We have an intergovernmental agreement, and you sign what is called intergovernmental partnership agreements. That way, I think it can help in the absence of a law, or in the absence of or the gaps that have been established. Then that can, in the meantime, act. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. One more.
My name is Joseph Kibiwot, and I work for Paratas Group. I'm the MD. Mine is more of trying to see how can we work together in terms of managing the way live cost. As Paratas, we are launching Layer 2 VPN, where you can backhaul your traffic back to Nairobi or to any other HQ that you want to do that. And that gives you the headache of way lives, sorry to say so. But it can give you a very quick solution to get into connectivity across the counties. And the next one is more of the counties that you're trying to connect the schools, the hospitals, with the remote areas where the infrastructure cost is very expensive. I'm thinking we may want to look at other innovative solutions like what we have, and I'll be very happy to be part of this. However, in my other life, I think if Ken can allow me to just quote him, I've built him out in some of the counties when his vehicles were compounded and locked somewhere that the team could not work. And I think that's very retrogressive in terms of trying to penetrate. When I look at the Kenya Bureau of Statistics numbers, it seems there are some areas which have been grayed out. I've just picked a few counties like Marsabit, Samburu and the rest that we need connectivity in those areas. And the conversation that was there earlier was, can it be free? I know some of us were like, it should not be free. But how do we increase penetration in the internet usage in those areas? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think we can start with those, and as we wait for the rest.
Seems to be having, this mic is not working. Okay, so quickly before I give the mic to Kiambu, on the Intergovernmental Forum, we have been trying to plan one since last year. We have tried to reach out to your department, but I think finally, we're very excited that you and your PS are able to join us, because finally you're with us. That's the most exciting news we have. Now, the other news is 5th and 6th November are our dates for the proposed engagement with the county governments. We can convert it into an intergovernmental forum. Check your calendars and let us know whether those dates work for you, because they work for us, for the regulator, and for the Ministry of ICT. If they work for the State Department of Devolution, we shall be very happy, because then we work with you and the Council of Governors and get the counties into a deeper discussion on this. And we are ready to, we have been trying to negotiate. It's very difficult for me as TESPOC to visit all the 47 governors. It has been challenging. And I don't sleep at night when the networks are down. Every CEO will call me. Every CTO will call me. When there is a theft, when there is a vandalism, when my phone is a call center for infrastructure. because I'm at the heart of that infrastructure. So kindly help to facilitate so that I don't grow old quickly. And then I'll give the mic to Jacqueline to respond.
Thank you, Fiona. For us, our main communication path is through COG, the Council of Governors. I didn't get the gentleman's name. Kome, yes, thank you, Kome. I think what you spoke about is the issue to do with the towers, the laying of the towers. And your concern is ideally on the issues to do with the fees and charges, why you have to pay after every 3 years. Now, allow me to have that conversation with you to understand what exactly have you laid, where, and then now we can actually now look at it on both ends, as well as the environmental parts that you've also mentioned, because we're currently reviewing our 2024 finance bill, and it could be ideally a good conversation to have during the public participation process. Okay? Yes.
Anything else? Any other queries? Any other comments? We did recognize the comments from Paratas MD on alternate solutions, and I'm sure those service providers who've had, we'll see you after this for further conversations. I'm seeing a lot of TESPOC members in the room. Hamsa mko sawa?
Hello everyone, my name, hello. Hello everyone, my name is Hamza Adam. I work a small service provider called Bulusho Fiber. We are not big like Safaricom, Wananchi, and all the panelists. I don't have a question here, but I just want to comment about what is the solution for the small service provider who want to connect, as the government want to connect everyone. Today, there's an area where Safaricom cannot work, but the small ISB is working. An area where Wananchi is not there, Zuku is not there. We are there as service providers. Sometimes we cannot build our own infrastructure. We have to rely with the tier 2 providers to do the cross-border, to give me a service up to where I need, and then I provide from there. So what's the solution for the small service providers who cannot commit the fees on the counties and the national, wherever it is? Yeah, those are my comments. So what's a small service provider?
Thank you very much. My name is Naomi Kefa from the Council of Governors. And for a long time, we have had an ICT committee at COG, and the chair is Governor Wisely Rotich. And let me say that the discussions here, that committee has not been very vibrant, and the discussions here are very ripe for an ICT committee that is very active. So I listened to the panel and the very strong sentiments that county governments should know that this is an exclusive function, but I urge private sector here to engage the counties. And from the discussions we've had, that is an area that we need to pursue. So just to say that we are hoping to be engaged more. I'm not in ICT, I'm in legal, but we support the committees. There's a legal officer who supports the committee, so I know that if we are engaged, we can support. The other point I would like to say is on intergovernmental sector forums, and the Secretary has mentioned we are finalizing on the framework for intergovernmental sector forums engagement, and ICT is one of the sector forums that we need, seeing the issues that are here. So I think that will unlock some of these issues, and looking forward to the dialogue that you have said you'll have in November. Thank you.
Thank you very much for those comments. I think, Fiona, in the interest of time, you can have the final word.
I'd like to take this opportunity to thank everyone who has attended. So I'd like to thank everyone who has attended, who's been with us from the onset to now. I want to thank all the service providers who've come in all the way from Nairobi, your headquarters, and coming to support us. I'd like to give a special call out and thanks to all the panelists. I want to also just appreciate once more P.S. Michael Lena Salon. That name is giving me a challenge, but yeah, tutazoea. Okay, so as I was saying, I'd like to appreciate PS Lena Salon, PS Devolution, State Department for Devolution, for just responding to our letter and actually coming and being here with us. When you mentioned it in your LinkedIn posts last week, I said, but he's not yet spoken to us. And I checked my team and didn't see the letter, but I'm happy that you actually were here with us. You were with us, even the team posted on LinkedIn and said, you are coming in for the event. I was like, okay, good, we are happy to see you. And yeah, we are very happy to have you with us, and we look forward to being able to partner with you moving forward. And this brings us now to the end of our session, but before we close, I also want to be able to appreciate the presence of DG Kenya National Bureau of Statistics. Or with DG? Yes, Daktari, if you can just give a few remarks regarding our request for data.
Thank you so much for the chance, colleagues. I'm not sure if it is okay. Thank you so much for the chance again. As I mentioned, from the Bureau of Statistics, our work is to show you where you are, just to tell you where you are. And it gives you a wake-up call on what is happening. Whatever you implement, when we do the evaluation on the ground, we are able to show where you are. And that's why you are able to see from even this small fact sheet that is here, it shows a lot of disparities. The real report shows a lot of disparities between the urban and rural. So we did even a small write-up that went to the press yesterday without knowing what is going to take place today. And one of the issues that we are talking about is that, having then seen the results in the report, we are saying that the stakeholders, the government, the private sector should invest in the area of ICT infrastructure just to ensure that we deal with those disparities that are there. You can see that the highest uptake of the counties on ICT related matters are actually just Nairobi, Murang'a, Kirinyaga, Kiambu, Nyandarua, and that goes up to 62%. Among those ones that I've mentioned, it goes up to 62%. The highest is 67%. So we still have space to achieve. But when you go to the ASAL areas, you get now Garissa there, Tana River, you get Turkana, you get West Pokot doing very poorly. And you see, we have people there who should also be getting the services. So it tells you how bad the situation is in the ASAL areas. So we need to really address those matters. Now, on our side, you know, Bureau is one institution that you go to agriculture, you get us. You go to education, you get us. You go to ICT, you get us. In whatever area within the sector of the economy, we are there. So it's a question of how do we partner to get to get what you require, so that you can now see this is our baseline, but we need to be at this level. So we are really available for your services, just to make sure that we move at the same speed. We were to do an ICT survey 2 years ago, but then the funds did not come in at a good time. We'll still keep on checking if you are able within this year and up to next year. If you are able to get reasonable funds, then we need now to bring on board the kind of issues that we should be able to establish, so that you can tell where you are. Now, this is not limited to the national government, but also to the counties. We did a survey of 25,000 households, which is giving us this report, meaning that we are also reporting at the county level. So for the counties, and for the counties that are here, kindly consider doing your county statistical abstract. Homa Bay has just done theirs. We were to launch it last week, but the space was not there. But I can see it is already in their, they have displayed it within their space, or their booth. The Homa Bay County Statistical Abstract containing the data for 2023, but it is written 2024. We are continuing with a number of counties to do that. It is administrative data plus survey data, which will be able to give you insights of how you are moving progressively over time. So let's do that. Lastly, this small fact sheet has a QR code. If you scan that QR code, you'll be able to get the full report that we are referring to. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'd like us to, because I want us to do this systematically. I would like the panelists to kindly step down, but don't go away. We want to do a group photo for this panel, and then to do a photo with everyone in the room, so don't leave. I would like to give this opportunity to PS Lena Salon to kindly come and give closing remarks for us. Utufungie vizuri kama mheshimiwa.
Thank you very much. Just 2 remarks. One is, as I was talking about the county government being ready to adopt technology and take up the digital services. So I want to comment on the youth issue, the youth wave. So this one, if no other motivation can motivate our county governments to collaborate and to partner, so that our people can get the services at a good, efficiently, and also at a lower cost, and so that they can get government service or any other service, then the matter of the youth can make them do that. So with good leadership, we implore to the county government to support our youth by being very keen in on the matters of this sector of digital services and the deployment of the infrastructure. Secondly, on the Secretary had mentioned the intergovernmental relations forums, the intergovernmental relations partnerships. We are ready to partner. We are ready to give our support where it's required for the issues, the bottlenecks that are preventing the smooth operation in this sector to happen. So we are ready. Thank you. So I wish you all the best.
Yeah, we have something for you, but we need to take pictures.
Please move to the center. That is a small token of appreciation for giving us your time and joining us. Thank you so much. Please hold on. All the other panelists, Chairman, you're helping us to give everybody. Ken Murage, please, we want to do a group photo as well. So if you don't mind, please just, Ken, John, Lawrence, Jackie, Daisy, Engineer, hatuna za kutosha, hata wewe utapata. Okay, the cameras are ready first. Group photo.
Thank you so much, everyone. We are going to have a group photos. Camera, where do we do the group photo for all the participants? On stage or?
Down here.
So we'll have a group photo on the stage. And as we do, my name is Alan Oloch. I was your MC for the day. Thank you for participating in this event.
1 2 1 2